सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। So Hari Om. In this 108th verse is a very beautiful verse. We saw how Maya is called Avyakta Namni. Her name is Avyakta, meaning unmanifest. You cannot see her. And who she? She is the power of Parameshwara, power of that I, power of the self, power of the Brahman. Just like the power of dancing is in the dancer, the power of singing is in the singer, the power of painting is in the painter. In the same way, the power of Brahman is in the Brahman. She is Maya Shakti. Anadi Avidya, always, she has always been, her nature has been, Avidya means ignorance. I don't know, like it is hidden, it is veiled, we cannot see that, we cannot see her. What is her true form? Triguna Atmika. She has got three gunas: Sattva guna, Rajo guna, and Tamo guna. She is made up of the three gunas in equal balance. Why you cannot see her is, you cannot see anything which has three gunas in equal balance. Only when the gunas are imbalanced, an object is visible to us. Either it has to be more of Sattva, very little of Rajas, and very little tamas, then we can see. If it is more of tamas, then very little rajas and sattva, then we can see. Or more of rajas and very little sattva and tamas, we can see. But if everything is equal, you cannot see that object. Trigunatmika para. How is this? If you cannot see something, how do we know her existence? How do we know the existence of this power? Karya anumeya, by the effects that is caused by Maya. And who can see it? Everybody cannot see it, or everybody cannot know it. Sudhiyaiva, by the one who has got Sudhi or Sushtudhi, a steady and stable intellect, one thought in the mind, the thought of the jignasu, the thought of the knower of the truth, the capacity to know the truth, a stable mind, Maya. And who she? Yaya Jagat Sarvam Idam Prasuyate. She gives birth to this whole world by the combination of just her three qualities. And Gurudev Swami Chinmaya says, lack of correct thinking produces misconceptions. Think rightly, all misery will end. If we want sorrow to end in our life, then there is no other way other than bringing in correct thinking. This whole text of Vivekachoodamani teaches us to think clearly. Think clearly means when we analyze and dissect everything that is there in this universe, and we know everything for what it is, then there is clarity in our thinking. When there is clarity in our thinking, there will be clarity in our decisions. When there is clarity in our decisions, there will be clarity in our speech and action. When there is clarity in speech and action, the results will be clear. I will know this result has come because of this action which I have done. So if I want a different result, I should accordingly modify the action that I do with my thought, word, and deed. And then the other result that I desire is going to come. And when the dukkha or sorrow comes because we wish something and we get something else in return, that is what causes us sorrow. So if we want something, then we have to really clearly do or ask for that particular thing through our thoughts, words, and through our actions. The 110th verse, Shuddhadvaya Brahma Vibodhanashya Sarpa Brahmo Rajju Vivekato Yatham Rajastamas Sattvam Iti Prasiddham Gunastadiyaham Prathitaihi Swakaryaihi. Shuddha Advaya Brahma Vibodhanashya. By being very clear and by knowing that pure Advaya, non-dual Brahma, Vibodhana, Visheshena Bodhana, by specifically and by specially knowing that Shuddha Brahma, that pure consciousness which is present everywhere and which is manifest in this person as I. Sarpa Brahma Rajju Vivekato Yatha. How is this Shuddha Brahma, Shuddha Advaya Brahma Vibodha? How do we know this? By removing the Brahma, by removing the illusions, by removing the delusions, we know what is the truth. Sarpa Brahma. We have the illusion of a snake in the rope. Rajju Vivekato Yatha. When we analyze clearly and when we understand that it is just a snake has got no life and no movement of its own, then we will understand that it is not a rope, and along with it all the fear of a rope. Sorry, it is not a snake. It is a rope and it is not a snake. The moment we understand it very clearly, all the fear of the snake, all the bodily reactions that are caused because I thought it was a snake, everything will go away. Rajaha, Tamaha, Sattvam iti prasiddha. This Maya is very popularly known as Rajas or dynamism, Tamas or inertia, Sattva or brilliance, calmness, stability, and light. So you may say, how come only we know about this Maya? Because we know Sanskrit and it is mentioned in the Vedanta. When it is said Prasiddha, everybody in the whole world knows that these three states exist because they see it in them, they see it in their surroundings. Sometimes we feel very bright, sometimes we feel very alert, agile, and so that is we are existing in Sattva Guna. Our surroundings are also like that, full of brightness, full of brilliance, full of light, and full of clarity. That's Sattva Guna. Rajo Guna is ambition, dynamism, too much of effort, prayatna, and then other qualities also like anger, hatred, jealousy. These qualities, everything signify, anything that signifies modification and change is Rajoguna. And then you have Tamoguna, which is inertia. So these, we don't need to know it only in Sanskrit. Even in English or in any other language, these words exist to refer to these three states of existence. Gunaha, Tadiyaha. So these are the gunas or the qualities of Maya Pratitaihi Swakaryaihi. How do we know them? By those particular efforts, by the particular effects. When somebody is very brilliant, you see a small child who sings so beautifully, can identify ragas, and can even teach elders about how to sing clearly, then obviously, very obviously, Sattva Guna is very predominant. You see somebody who's very restless, who's very anxious, and who's very tense, you see that Rajoguna is predominant. And you see somebody who's very inert and who's very dull and always slothful and procrastinating, then we see that Tamoguna is predominant. What is the effect and nature of Rajoguna? Verses number 111 and 112. So, Vikshepa Shakti Rajasa Kriyatmika Yataf Pravrittihi Prasuta Purani Prasrita Purani Raga Ragadayosya Prabhavanti Nityam Dukkadayo ye Manaso Vikara. Vikshepa Shakti, the power of projection, the power of throwing things around, the power of showing something else than what it is. Vikshepa means, kshipa means to throw. Vikshepa means going on projecting something from here. It is projected in the form of power, in the form of energy. Vikshepa Shakti, basically restlessness and activity. Rajasaha Kriyatmika. The nature of Rajas is action. When you see a person cannot sit quietly, even when they read the newspaper, you will hear more the sound of the newspaper. The person, we don't know whether they really understood what they read, because all the time they're turning the page and they're making noise with the page. Kriya Atmika, meaning they're full of rajas. Kriya Atmika, some people cannot sit quietly. They have to keep shaking some part of the body, shaking the legs, shaking the hands, shaking the head and talking, moving the hands this way and that way. Kriyatmika. Yataha pravrittihi prasruta purani. But this is very important. It is an important quality. From this rajoguna, pravrittihi prasruta purani. From very, very, very ancient times, for all times, during the ages, during all the ages, this rajoguna has been the cause of pravritti or action. Any productivity, any action, any creation, any movement forward, any running, jogging, skipping, any sport activity, any work that's being done with the hands and legs, physical activity, or with the body, everything is Joguna Pradhana. Ragadayaha asyaha prabhavanti nityam. From this Rajoguna, what is being created? Raga. Raga means not exactly the raga we know in Carnatic music. Raga means attachment. I keep churning out many thoughts, many words, many actions that bring me many results, and I'm attached to those results of actions. Whatever situation, person, or object that I have, there is attachment in the case of Rajoguna. Prabhavanti Nitya. At all times, eternally, this Rajoguna is going on creating, going on moving, going on shaking. The movers and shakers of this world are having immense Rajoguna. And what does it give us finally? Dukkha dayaha. It gives dukkha, it gives sorrow, it gives grief. Because when action is mindless and only movement and change, then the movement and change always ends in grief. Manasaha vikaraha. The modification of the mind in the case of Rajoguna or Rajas is um, is what is it called? Dukkha or sorrow. Vikara means modification. The next verse also is of Rajoguna. Kama krodho lobha dambhadya suyam ahamkareshya matsara dhyastu ghoraham dharmayete rajasapam pravrittihi yasmadesha tadrajo bandhahetuhu. There are many, many qualities that come from Rajoguna. Dukkha is what we experience, but we give out many qualities. What are those qualities? Kamaha, Krodhaha. Constant desiring. Every time you see there are so many people in this world, they will have some big desire, and when that desire gets fulfilled, the next moment the next desire will come. Kamaha. It's like the desires are like the tissue papers in the tissue box. If you pull out one tissue, the next tissue will stand up ready. Kamaha. If the desire is not fulfilled, it ends in krodha. Krodha means anger. Lobha, if the desire is fulfilled, it turns into greed, meaning it is not in a non modifying state. If I have a desire, it means the mind is going to be in a state of modification, because if the desire is not fulfilled, it turns into anger. If the desire is fulfilled, it turns into greed. The desire is not fulfilled when our karma, when our the results of our past actions don't allow that desire to be fulfilled for us. There are obstacles to the fulfillment of that desire. When our karma is conducive to us, meaning the results of our past actions are conducive, then the desires will get fulfilled. Because the desire is getting fulfilled, we may tend to want more and more of it. It becomes lobha. And then dambha. Dambha means I have something and I project something else. For example, I may not be so rich, but I dress up, I speak, and I walk like a very rich person. There are so many people who live in rented homes. They don't have the money to pay the rent, and they will be getting extension from the house owner for paying rent, but they will spend on all kinds of very costly modes of transport like taxis and auto rickshaws. They will not walk for short distances because they want to show to the world outside that they are rich, but actually the situation is very different. It's a very sad state of affairs. It is not only money, it is even knowledge. Sometimes in on the road, we experience it most of the time. People don't know the way, especially after the entry of this Google Maps. The capacity of people to know the routes and know the places and remember names has gone completely, and they do not accept that they don't know. You ask them where is a place, this and this, they will correctly tell you the wrong route. And only when you go there, you realize that the person who told you has not told correctly. So that is called damba. Damba means I don't know, but I don't say that I don't know. And so I say something else, and it may be wrong also. Dambha, Adi. Adi means etc. Many, many qualities are there. Then Asuya. Asuya means jealousy. Feeling jealous that somebody has got more than us. Feeling envious of others. Irsha, that word is also there. Irsha is envy. Envy is, Asuya is feeling jealous. Jealous is when I don't have something and somebody else has got that, then I feel jealous of that person. Irsha is I have something, but that the other person has got more than me. I have got a promotion, but the other person has got more promotion with a raise. I have got a small raise, but somebody gets 5,000 rupees more than me. I feel it is hurting my sensitivity. Then ahamkara. Ahamkara is that very subtle presence of force in the body. If that subtle force is just left as it is, in the case of humility, that subtle force does not become very strong and assertive, and that subtle force just remains very quiet. So the person may appear weak, the person may appear soft. So that is not expression of the ahankara. Ahankara gets expressed, when we say, I know that there's nobody else greater than me. I am the richest person. I am the most knowledgeable person. I am a very strong person. I am a capable person. I am the person who is doing all this work in this place. There is nobody other than me. Without giving credit to anybody else, taking all the credit to oneself, aggrandizing everything for one's own self, is ahankara, irsha, matsara. Matsara means somebody is moving faster than me. Somebody is progressing. Mat sarati. They are moving very fast. Like two students study in the same school up till higher secondary, and then one student moves into IIT. The other students just studies BSc in some subject, physics or chemistry, and this IIT person immediately gets a nice campus placement. They also go abroad for higher studies. So this person feels we were only together, but see, he has moved so fast from me. And that gives him a very sad feeling, a feeling of sadness, a feeling of littleness, a feeling of hopelessness, a feeling of jealousy. And we begin to say that that person has got it because he has bribed, or he is very rich and he's got a lot of money to waste, and all those things. Isha. Matsara Adi Astu Ghoraha. These are all very rajasic in nature, which means they can cause a lot of agitation and modification in the mind. Dharma eta rajasaha pum pravrittihi. The human being who has got rajoguna has these dharmas, meaning they've got all these qualities which we really don't want in our personality. Yasmat Esha Tadrajo Bandha Hetuhu. And because of these qualities, that Rajoguna is the cause for bondage. If I'm jealous of some person, in my mind, that person's presence is very strong. When that person's presence is very strong, I cannot focus on really what I want to do. I cannot focus on progressing myself in life, and I will be stuck. And the more I am stuck, the more I will suffer. The more I suffer, the more I do wrong. The more I do wrong, the more the results or actions are not going to be fair enough for me. And the more I continue to suffer, and I'm caught in this wheel of bondage. That is called bandha hetu, the cause of bondage because of rajoguna. Now the nature and effects of tamoguna is explained. Tamoguna, because the verse Avyakta Namni about Maya has been said. The Maya has got three qualities, Trigunatmika Para. This three gunas is being explained now. The qualities of Maya. Esha vrittir nama tamo gunasya shaktir yaya vastva vabhasaten yatham saisha nidanam purushasya samsrute vikshepa shakte pravanasya hetuhu. Oops, there's a big insect. Okay. Esha gunaha. Esha vrittir nama. The cause of this vritti, the cause of this movement. Actually, there is no movement, but that inertia itself is a cause for future movement. There is potential movement in tamoguna. Rajoguna, there is kinetic movement, it is there. Movement is there in the present moment, but in tamoguna, the movement is potential. Esha vrittir nama tamogunasya. The vritti or the nature of tamoguna, the quality of tamoguna, the progress of tamoguna is like this. Shaktihi yata yaya vastu avabhasate anyatha. Shaktihi Yaya, this Shakti of Tamoguna always shows us something different. For example, you go into a dark room and you go, maybe you're riding a scooter in a dark forest and your shirt collar is flapping against your neck. You feel that there is a ghost. That is the quality of tamoguna. That feeling comes to us because of tamoguna. The feeling comes to us because it does not allow us to know the truth and it projects something else that is not the truth. Vastu avabhasate anyatha. Tamoguna shows us something else than what really exists. For example, any kind of a misreading that we do is the cause of tamoguna. Saisha nidanam purushasya samsrutehe. The human being is attaining to samsara or modification and change. Rajoguna binds us, but tamoguna is the cause. Tamoguna is the cause for samsara. This body is also physical, it is tamoguna. Vikshepa shaktehe pravanasya hetuhu. This tamoguna, it veils the truth and it projects falsehood. Projecting falsehood is being done by the Vikshepa Shakti, and this Tamoguna is what projects the Rajoguna. The capability of projection of Rajoguna is inherent in the Tamoguna. Tamas means darkness. Tamas means inertia. It is a quality that we have, and which causes us to sleep, which causes us to procrastinate, which causes us to be very with lack of alertness to what we really need to do in our life. All the sadhanas which we refuse to do. If I have to walk, then the tamoguna will make me not to walk, will put me to sleep for more time. प्रज्ञावानपि पंडितोपि चतुरो अप्यत्यंत सूक्ष्मार्थ दृक् व्यालीढस्तमसा न वेत्ति बहुधां संबोधितोपि स्फुटं भ्रान्त्यारोपितमेव साधु कलयति आलम्बते तद्गुणान् हन्तासौ प्रबला दुरन्त तमसः शक्तिर्महत्यावृतिः. Shaktiः महति आवृतिः. This power of tamas is the one that covers everything. For whom does it cover? Prajnavanapi panditopi chaturaha api atyanta sukshmartha drik. Even these very, very qualified people. Prajnavan means in many fields of knowledge, he has got a lot of clarity. He is a very widely knowledgeable person. Panditaha, the one who knows the truth, the one who knows the self. Chaturaha, a very smart person. Api atyanta sukshma arthadik. Even a person who can, even the most minute and subtle aspects of life, he is able to understand. Sukshmartha drik, vyalidas tamasana veti. If their mind or their intellect is covered by tamas, na veti bahudha sambodhitopi sputam. Even if so many people come and lot of teaching happens, lot of waking up happens by other people, he does not wake up because his intellect is covered in tamas. Bhranti aropitameva sadhu kalayati alambate tadgunana. Bhranti aropitam. Everywhere there is a lot of delusion in his perception. What is that delusion? Like I'm going on seeing everything, but I wrongly understand whatever I see. Bhranti aropitameva sadhu kalayati. Sadhu means for this person, kalayati, it changes everything. It changes our perception all the time. Alambate tadgunan. For the person who is holding on to tamoguna, his vision is not very clear. His vision becomes dull, his vision becomes distorted, his vision becomes confused, and his vision is deluded. Hanta asau prabala, duranta tamasaha. Hanta means, oh my God, OMG, we say. Prabala, very strong. Duranta, a kind of darkness which seems to have no end. Shaktihi mahati avratihi. It, it, it is a very strong veiling power of tamas. The next verse, abhavana va viparita bhavana asambhavana vipratipattirasyaha samsargayuktam na vimulchati dhruvam vikshepa shaktihi kshapayatyajasram. This vikshepa shakti, tamas, connected with when there is a lot of ignorance, and that ignorance is connected with abhavana. I don't have the right bhavana. I don't have the right emotion in me, that emotion which can give me the right knowledge, abhavana, or viparita bhavana. Viparita bhavana means somebody is doing good. It's an example I'm giving. Somebody does good to me, but usually it happens with parents. Parents will be doing something good to us, but because we always compare and contrast with what other children are getting from their parents, we will have the viparita bhavana that they are not doing anything for us. Viparita bhavana. Asambhavana. Asambhavana means knowledge is not happening at all. Everything is very dull. Or vipratipattihi. There is a doubt. Always, whatever we learn, whatever somebody teaches us, there is no clarity and we are always having a doubt. Asyaha. Samsarga yuktam na vimunchati dhruvam. These people who are connected with this tamas are always attached to samsara or change or this creation. Navi munchati dhruvam. It does not leave that person. The tamas will not leave that person from samsara or modification and change, because for the mind to develop and the mind to be brilliant in sattva guna, lot of modification and change will only give the churning process. And if we do not voluntarily engage in sadhana and keep our mind in sattva guna, and we let it loose and relax in tamo guna, it will cause vikshepa shakti. It will generate this vikshepa, or it will generate agitations in the mind, kshapayati ajasram, and it will give endless trouble to that person. Whenever there is agitation in the mind, for example, if I just sit quietly for some time, suddenly, if I sit quietly and if my mind is filled with tamas, all the agitations of the mind are temporarily quiet. So if I sit for some period of time, the agitations will start coming up one by one. Agitations means different desires. So one desire will come up. I may even ignore that desire because I'm not fully woken up from tamas. Sometimes, mothers, when children are giving so much of trouble, and the child is sleeping for a long time in the morning, the mother will allow the child to sleep, because if the child wakes up, it will be giving so much trouble that the mother will have a very tough time and not be able to do other work at home. So if tamas is there and overpowering, then the desires are there and desires don't rise. The desires are also sleeping along with tamas. But when the tamas is breaking out into some energy, then what is going to happen is the desires are all cropping up one by one and starts agitating. Once the desires come, and the mind begins to get agitated, we don't know anything else. We can't do anything else except act and fulfill those desires. Only then the mind will become quiet. Until then, the agitation will not leave us. The desire gets fulfilled not because we did that work to fulfill the desire. The mind does not become agitated because the desire is fulfilled. The mind does not become agitated because when the desire is fulfilled and before the next desire has come up, there is quite a state of lull. And that state of lull is the most enjoyable thing. And that is what we love. And that is the reason why we are experiencing joy when we fulfill a desire. Suppose I want to eat a chocolate cake. I am thinking in my mind chocolate cake, chocolate cake, chocolate cake. That thought in my mind, that agitated thought in my mind, which is beating along with my heartbeat, will not allow me to rest because it is not just the heartbeat, but there is a thought in that heartbeat. There's an object in that heartbeat. And the object is I have to go search for something, I have to get it. And okay, if I get it and then I eat it, there is a state of quietness because the next thought has not come up. Till that period, the mind is not agitated, the mind is not throwing up thoughts, and so the mind is experiencing calmness. Vikshepa Shaktihi, sorry, Vikshepa Shaktihi Kshapayati Ajasram. When there is tamas, then the rajas comes into play, and the rajas puts us through its lot of difficulties. It keeps us bound with sorrow, grief, and difficulties. Ajnanamalasya jadatva nidram pramada mudhatva mukhastamo gunaham etai prayukto nahi vetti kinchit nidraluvat sambhavadeva tishtati. Here, this tamas is actually, the Acharya Bhagwan Sri Shankara is describing about this tamas not because it will prevent us from going and working in the world and earning money. For people who are desirous of earning money, they have got tremendous rajas, so they don't naturally allow their bodies to go into tamas. But when we don't have the desire for working in this world, earning and achieving in this world, and we don't have the desire for sattvic desire for knowing the truth, then if you leave the body, the mind, and intellect to dullen into a state of tamas, what happens? Ajnana means ignorance, alasyam means laziness, jadatvam means how much ever I push, somebody pushes, that person will not move. Jadatvam means that person holds on to a thought, a belief that is not tested by reality and proved by reality, a belief that is contrary to proof, and how much ever everybody tries to correct that belief in that person, he will not allow that he will not allow that belief to be corrected. Jadatva. Nidra is sleep. Nidra means just a state of sleep. When there is nothing to do, automatically the mind goes into a state of sleep. Pramada mudhatva. Pramada means lack of interest in proper sadhana. If I want to achieve the truth, I have to quieten the mind. Then I become a fit person to know the truth. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate, says the Bhagavad Gita. So if I want to become fit to know the truth, then I have to make the mind quiet. How do I make the mind quiet? Through karma yoga, bhakti yoga sadhanas. But pramada is, what is the big deal about doing all this? Why should I wake up early in the morning, the Brahma Muhurta, when everybody is happily sleeping? How can why should I wake up? Why should I do japa? Why should I chant? Why should I study the Upanishads? Why should I meditate? Why should I do puja. I can just sleep. I can pull the sheet over me and go to sleep. Put blinders for my eyes so that no light distracts my vision and continue to sleep. That is called pramada. Pramada means a lack of interest in what we should do, the sadhana. Moodhatva means dullness, an incapacity to know the truth, an incapacity to precisely slice between thoughts, dissect thoughts, to know the truth. Moodhatva. Moodhatva mukhaha. These are all the attributes of tamoguna. Etaihi prayuktaha nahi veti kinchita. If a person is having all these qualities very well established in him, the qualities of tamoguna, he moves around in this world in a sleepy way. Nidraluvat Stambhavat eva tishtati. Nidralu means a sleepy person. Stambhavat means like a pillar, like a post. How much ever you try to bring in sense, that person is not going to budge because there is so much of tamoguna. Even the whole lot of people, the Mahabharata in the Anugita categorizes many states of emotions, pages and pages of verses on these are all the qualities of Sattva-guna, these are all the qualities of Rajoguna, and these are all the qualities of Tamoguna. So the Mahabharata says that, and out of which the qualities of Tamoguna, even when you say there is no God, it is a quality of Tamoguna. It is not a great thing as we admire and worship people in this world who say there is no God. It is like saying there is some power, but you don't want to identify that power. You don't want to agree that it is there. So simply you say it is not there, then you don't have to do anything about it. Nobody can ask you questions. And so if somebody asks question, come on, prove to me. You ask the other person to prove that there is God. And then when the person is trying to prove, then you don't want to believe that. That is tamoguna. Tamoguna is not being amenable to reason. Tamoguna is not willing to look into the truth, not willing to take the effort to know the truth, but blindly saying something which is not the reality. So these are all the qualities that can bind a person to samsriti or samsara, meaning movement and change, birth, death, and the whole life cycle in between. So if we need to get out of this life cycle of birth and death, we need to move out of these qualities of tamas into rajas and then into sattva guna. We will continue tomorrow. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kashchid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om असतोमा सद्गमय तमसोर्मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ओम शांति 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 हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम। बोलिए श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। हर नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम।